The first National X-Ball League divisional event of 2021 is just on the horizon. Don't miss the NXL Lone Star Amateur Open, going down Friday, March 19th to Sunday, March 21st at Giant Party Sports Paintball and Airsoft Park, just north of Dallas, Texas. The gunfights will rage across 2 different formats, 5-man and X-Ball, with 3 different levels of competition in each format. Make sure to register your team by Wednesday, March 10th, which is the final day to get your squad signed up for the battle. Also, tune in to watch all the action going down on center court, only on GoSports.com.
Welcome to Go Sports Live. I'm Matty Marshall. Got Keegan Lauder in the seat today from Austin Notorious. And they had a great story at the Virginia Pro Paintball Exhibition, took second place. They almost won it. Also, we're going to break into all this. But they only played with 5 guys. They had 5 guys the whole event. And their front player in the snake went down right away, right out the gate. And so Keegan stepped up, played masterful in the snake, and really good look for him. So Keegan, we're going to talk about your story, going to talk about your team story. Also, everybody mark your calendars. This weekend coming up, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we got the first NXL event down in Dallas. Looking forward to getting out there and kicking off the season. So also, Keegan, I just want to say, I think it's appropriate that here in your first interview, you got 2 nasty blood welts on your neck here. So nice little introduction. Definitely look like a front snake player. So who gave you those nasty little things right there?
This one I think was from the practice the weekend before the event, and then Harris, I know, shot me here and here at the same time, blew off all the scabbing on this one, and gave me a new one in the same little beat. The Friday or the Thursday practice or Friday practice, whatever our practice day was at the Invitational, and I was like, all right, let's start this fresh, have a little bleeder.
Yeah, like you said, a little couple blood welts to start things out. But yeah, dude, you definitely look like a Snake 1 player. So there's a decent amount I want to talk to you about today. I just think there was such a compelling story. I mean, it was Brandon White. Was it Brandon White that got hurt?
Yeah.
So Brandon was sitting up next to us in the commentator booth. Yeah, so he's sitting up there right next to us the entire time. And I kind of noticed him when I'm talking to him a little bit. And then I heard you guys were down to 5 guys. And so, and after you guys, day 1, kind of we get to talking a little bit. And told me a little bit about the team, and he was talking about how pissed he was that he got hurt. But, and then you stepped up, and, I mean, that wasn't even really your position to play. That was his position to play. So that's why I wanted to get you on the show. Because I was either going to go with you or Marky France, because to me, you guys were the 2. Everyone obviously in the starting 5 played great. You only have 5 guys, and as well as you did, you can't go on a run like you guys did against some teams that on paper are better than you if everyone's not playing well. But because that snake side was slightly tricky, and how consistent you played and had a little bit less early deaths than Marky, that's why I wanted to get you on the show and give you your shine, because you really did hold it down there in the snake for Austin Notorious. So let's just start with your personal story here before we jump into the team story and then the story of that weekend. How long you been playing? How did you get into the game?
I mean, I played for quite a bit. Just I used to play pump and mag fed. So I used to hate speedball. I hated speedball players. I thought they were dicks. I had really bad experiences with them the few times I ran into them. And then it's just like I moved back to Texas, and I really didn't like any of the rec ball fields. And I was like, you know what? I'll try speedball. I love competition. I love being competitive. And my first season was 2019. So I've only been playing. This will be my 3rd year of playing speedball, but I played for a team, Victoria, out of Texas Paintball, and we won first place 2019 Vegas, which was my first event, and that was pretty cool. I was like, okay, cool, this is nice. And then from there there was some issues, and I got removed from the team because I'm a little bit dramatic. I caused some drama apparently. So FSU picks me up. I played D5 with them the rest of 2019, and I think I got 3 or 4 first place finishes and then a 3rd place that year. And then I played D4 and in a couple D3 events last year and got a couple of first places and second place. And then I was like, all right, well, let's go to the Invitational. So, but
so I want
out of all the teams I played with, I have to say Notorious is by far been my favorite team to play for. They just a good group of guys.
Yeah, and you get not very deep though. You guys need to pick up a couple guys maybe. Again, I want to get into the Notorious story a little bit, but let's there's a couple things I want to obviously, open up a little can of worms there, so we got to talk about that. But dude, you definitely wouldn't be an awesome front snake player if you're not slightly dramatic. I've played with a lot of awesome front snake players in my day, and I've known all of them that have played pro paintball throughout the years. And I feel like if you don't have a little bit of a flair for the dramatic, you don't really have that the demon inside you. We talk about the demon inside you and summoning that beast to play well in between the nets constantly, because it's such a truism of the sport. So let's kind of talk about that. Like and again, I feel like part of the gifts of the game is having to constantly deal with other people in pressure situations. You got a game plan. You have to come up with the game plan. You got to argue about the game plan. The game plan is either executed or it is not. Sometimes it's executed well. It still doesn't work. Then you got to go back to the drawing board and you're dealing with all these different personalities. But I feel like having to struggle through that, whatever, it doesn't matter what level of paintball you're playing. Like that's part of the awesomeness of the sport of paintball, because it makes regular life a little bit easier. It's like, yeah, work's stressful, family's stressful, but when you're making those decisions, typically nobody's shooting at you, if all's going well. So, it kind of adds, getting shot at adds a little bit of drama in there. So, what happened?
Honestly, I just talked shit to one of the players. They used to, so we had Greenspan out for 2 full day clinics, so like four days with him, before Vegas and then right before Dallas. And it was like, I think we shot like 100 cases over the course of a weekend, and it was like we would start at 6 a.m. we'd end at 6 p.m. like both days. It was a lot of time, and it was just like, it wasn't like an open clinic, it was just dedicated to us. So it was a really cool experience. I got a lot of learning from there. But one of the players on the team that I'm excited to play against in Dallas decides he wants to make fun of how I wear my pod pack a little bit high, and they want to ridicule me, and I'm like, at least I know how to fill. I know how to fill properly. And then the next day I got removed from the team. I was like, oh, that's kind of crazy. Who would have thought you can take shit but you can't handle it? So I mean, stuff happens. And then I've had bad blood with them ever since. I want my shot in the ring with them, and so happy to play against some certain players on certain teams this event.
What team is this, if you don't mind saying, just so I can hype it up when it actually goes down?
Well, it's Grit. I'm excited to play against Grit.
Okay.
For the most part.
Little Texas rivalry here. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the rivalries are what makes the game fun. I mean, one of the fun things was, so you guys go out and beat you beat Revo, which was the big story of the weekend. And then Bo Milo, who owns and runs New York Extreme, takes a couple kids and puts them in your guys' jerseys, and then posts the thing. He's like, yeah, look at these little children. This is the team that just beat Baltimore Revo, supposedly top 4 team. And then the kids got into it, and it was hilarious at post. And then they got their asses whooped the next day. New York Extreme did by Revo because they poked the bear. But that's a legit rivalry.
Yeah.
I mean, on paper, yeah. I mean, Revo's a better team than New York Extreme. They've played each other, well, including the last weekend, I think 5 times that I've seen them play, and 4 of them Revo has won. But rivalries make it fun. And looking back, I mean, I've said this on the show. I'm gonna say it again too many times, because I think it's so potent. It's like, you got to thank your enemies, because if you don't have rivals, if you don't have enemies, if you don't have somebody strong that's standing across, whether it's a ring, or in business, or in a paintball field, if you don't have somebody strong across the way from you, you don't really know how strong you are. So it definitely helps to kind of feed that. That is a totally ridiculous reason to get cut from a team too, because I also think that part of the secret sauce, and this is another maxim that we constantly discuss, so important, is that you have to be willing to engage constantly in some sort of slightly antagonistic relationship with your own teammates. If you can't get in an argument with your teammates about stuff and, and be able to deal with that, then it's probably going to be hard to build a winning team for you, because that's part of it. You guys got to kind of let it all out there and say whatever you may, deal with it, and that's going to make you guys stronger. So, okay, Grit versus Notorious. I'm going to have to write that one down. That's going to be a fun one to see. Okay, so then you go into Notorious, and so before we move on and talk about Notorious and the weekend you guys had, let's talk a little bit about because I thought one of the things that was really working for you personally in your game was the decisions that you were making in gunfights. We saw a decent amount of guys on every team on that Snake side either be too timid to engage and look inside too much, or lose, needless gunfights pushing and being a little bit too aggressive. Like Jerry Carl played amazing for the most part. I think he's huge for New York Extreme. I think it's a great pickup for him. I'm a big fan of Jerry Carl. I've seen him play for years. He's a stud. But when he was hitting the gas pedal, he'd die occasionally, recklessly, needlessly, and cutting down on those deaths. I mean, even got to the point where Rich and I both, after a game that they played, looked down and was like, hey, Jerry, your aggression's at a 10, need you at like a 9.5 or a 9. You just take it back a notch, because just a slight notch back is going to allow you to kind of see a couple more opportunities, and it's going to cut down on those needless deaths. So what I thought personally you did was you played really smart and effective in those pressure situations on the Snake side. And I think that, hearing that you played pump and mag fed, because you don't got a lot of bullets when you're playing pump and mag fed, you really have to mark your targets and make sure that if you're going to shoot your gun, you got a pretty decent shot. And if you're a front player, you need to put yourself in a good position to take that shot, because you can't just, get on your gun and put a guy in and make a move. So it really, I'm always a fan of if guys are coming up the ranks, I will tell guys occasionally, like, hey, it's probably going to be good for your game to occasionally go out and go play, whatever it may be, rec ball or, a big game or something, but go play pump, or play with the pump, or play with the mag fed gun, because you're really the game gets so much harder when you're doing that. I used to play big games with the Hitman crew back in the day, and there would be these 15-year-old kids, 500 on 500 craziness. We'd be right at the front line. I'd have my autococker, whatever gun I was playing with at the time, sometimes a machine gun, sometimes a pump gun, but there'd be some 15-year-old kid just using a pump gun with 2 pods on his back, murdering people with a pump gun, dude. And I was just like, mad respect to anyone that's willing to do that, because it just makes it so much difficult. So because, again, paintball there's so many ways to play it. Kind of want to go down that rabbit hole a little bit with you before we move on, because that's an interesting thing. That's not actually something I hear a lot about. Most people don't start out there. So, how did that help evolve your game as, and then taking it to speedball?
I think playing pump helped, because you have to I feel like that helped me with snapping and stuff. I feel like MagFed helped in playing on more I don't know, fields with buildings and stuff, because you can play angles differently, which is you guys commented I play really far off the Snake sometimes. It's I understand that you don't have to be up against cover in order for it to be covering you, and I think that comes a lot from playing rec ball a lot, is you can use it so much more there where you're not on the cover. And so it's I bring that into speedball a lot. I like finding those blind areas to play, and I like getting creative. I really like getting creative. And then playing pump I think helped. I had a lot of buddies at Bragg that at the field there that played speedball and stuff, but they would just go there and play pump. But they played speedball elsewhere a lot. So it's occasionally I'd see them there and they'd be playing pump. So it's I learned a lot from them, just movement and everything else, which was kind of cool, even though they're speedball players and I was you guys are horrible, but I'm friends with you right now. But I had such disdain for speedball as a sport, just because it's I didn't like the overshooting of kids and stuff that I would see so often. But it wasn't speedballers doing it. It was just people that would buy electric guns and just go there and just not care about who they're shooting. But it's when you step on the net, I definitely feel in speedball you can find that ego and animal and really clock in and turn that on. And that's what I kind of like about being on the tournament fields and stuff. It's it's a lot easier to just be free and let go and just play in the moment.
That's the best thing about paintball, man. The rest of the world dissolves, and then only in front of you is that immediate battle, and then in the microcosm of the moment, in the point, and then obviously the macrocosm of the game, the tournament, and it's just so involving, and it requires your complete 100% attention. So it can be very much a de-stressing thing for regular life. But yeah, no, there's a couple things there that I think that are interesting. One, I obviously, I'm not a fan of overshooting kids, but if you're going to play speedball, just like if you're going to play football, like you play football, your coaches are going to tell you, like, look, dude, you're going to get brutalized. That's kind of what this is. Yeah, you're going to get it. And you need to be giving it worse than you're getting it. And, same thing with any sort of, physical thing. You're boxing, same situation, doing jiu-jitsu, same thing. It's a physical thing. Don't kid yourself that it's not, and you need to be physically dominant, and paintball is also a physically dominant sport too. Again, we're not punching each other, but you're definitely throwing some ropes of paint out there. And, even back in the day, I'm glad that the sport's gotten a little bit more like this. I hate when they call ticky-tack ridiculous penalties on like slight overshooting here and there. And the more you go up the ranks, the more I think it should be a little bit more free, to let the players kind of police themselves a little bit. But yeah, I mean, once you get grown men playing against grown men, or grown people playing against grown people, like, to me, unless somebody is getting put to the ground and maliciously overshot with dozens of paintballs, like, that's when I guess you can draw the line. But then, the creativity side of things, and as far as, utilizing, the creative side when you are playing as that first attacker, is kind of one of the hardest things to teach. If you look at the best of the best, the most elite players in the world, when you watch Fedorov or, just whatever, pick anyone, Ryan Moorhead, if we're going down Heat's rabbit hole, if you want to pick any of the guys, it doesn't matter who we pick from the elite. As far as first attackers is concerned, D side, snake side, middle, the best of the best look at the game that way. They look at the field that way. They don't play it static. And especially as the variables change, when the bodies start dropping and the game plan's out the window, and now it's more of just pure principles of the game. Make sure you got outside contain, watch your angles, and try to find the best way to move up the field the safest way, but utilize the aggressive possibilities. So yeah, and I totally agree with you, and I'm glad that you're at your stage of your paintball career right now with your head screwed on the way it's screwed on, because if you keep it up, you're definitely going to help your team. And that's kind of what I was seeing out of everyone on your squad. You guys were not scared to go, not scared to get creative, and making more often than not the correct decision in the scrambles. Obviously, you guys still got a lot of work to do. The best teams in the pro league were not there for the most part. I mean, Revo is definitely, on their good days, one of the best teams out there. They've made it to the semifinals 4 times. So, they've earned the right for us to say they're one of the better teams on their better days. They definitely went to sleep on you guys. But before we get into your weekend, just last thoughts real quick on your style of play and what you felt on that snake side was working for you, because that was crucial, man. One of the reasons that if we, when we do get to talk about that Revo game, they didn't ignore the snake side, but you guys shut them down. They had no offense on that side, and it really allowed you guys to play some jazz over there and be very effective. So, when Brandon went down, and because he was your front snake guy, correct? I mean, he was supposed to play the one on the snake side. So where was your position then?
He was supposed to be the one, and then occasionally I'd be the one and him back me.
Okay. Which is good for not being scoutable. Yeah, I mean, just with 5 guys was such a good look for you guys. But talk to me about what because it was like kind of like you and Marky working good together over there. But occasionally, I mean, you had pretty much the same. Everyone was playing kind of the same spots. You didn't really, what I can remember, throw too many variables. It was like, this is what we got. We'll see if it works, and it worked out for you guys. So let's kind of dive right into that then, I guess, because that would be, I think, an appropriate time to talk about it. So first of all, when Brandon got hurt, what was going through your mind? And then also I think it was cool because Ryan Gray was coaching you guys. Friend of mine, I've known Ryan for a long time, and it was funny because I saw him on Friday. I saw him before you guys started really playing a bunch. You guys had played some practice. You played the practice before, and he was there for that. So I saw him, and I was like, I hadn't seen him in a while. I was like, oh man, we're talking about kids in real life and stuff. And then I'm like, what brings you out here? He's like, dude, I'm coaching Notorious. I was like, okay, cool. How do they look? And he's like, actually, no bullshit. These dudes can play some paintball, man. Like, I was kind of a little shocked on the practice day because they were making correct decisions in their bunkers. I feel like this is a team that's got some stuff to work with. And I was like, you know, I mean, I've heard that a million times. So I'm like, okay. And knowing what's in front of you, you're coming to play some of the lower ranked pro teams. And I was thinking, okay, well, we'll see. And then sure enough, you guys, you know, out the gate had a relatively, you put up some points against New York Extreme, but you started looking pretty decent. And then you beat Revo. He kept popping his head into the commentator booth. We talk a little bit more. And I was like, dude, you weren't wrong. These kids are, you know, pretty good, man. Like there was, again, so let's just go to the moment that Brandon gets hurt. What was going through your mind at that moment?
At that moment, we knew, we were like, okay, well, we're playing with 5. Like if we almost had one of our guys almost didn't make a flight. So we almost played with 5 regardless. And then we would have played with 4. And we kept joking like, hey, if somebody else gets hurt, it's factor 4 off break. You got to play through it. We're going to play 4 on 5s the whole weekend. But like we're okay with that. We went in with the mindset that, you know, like nobody expects anything from us, but I kept telling the guys personally, I was like, and I feel like we didn't win every match, but I know that we had the ability to win every match that we played. I think there's little things like with the New York game, we didn't warm up at all beforehand. We came out super flat. And I feel like that definitely contributed to it. We definitely kind of woke up like later in that match, but we didn't warm up at all. Which is, you know, a learning thing that, you know, we got to be more cognizant of and make sure that we're, you know, being athletes. So I think that was a big drawback. But I feel like, you know, we had the ability and potential to win every single match there. You know, it doesn't always happen, but I know that we have the ability to contend as a group. And the whole time after Brandon got hurt, we were like, okay, Ryan just looks at me. He's like, hey, you're the snake 1. You're going SOB most of the points. I'm like, okay, cool. You know, I know, just point my gun. I'll do it. But the whole first day, we were just saying, do it for B White, you know, do it for Brandon. Like we're winning every point for Brandon. So it was kind of cool. We need more of that in the MLK Kings game.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a bit. Kind of want to walk through your weekend. But yeah, it's, I mean, first of all, how is Brandon's ankle? He was on crutches. It definitely seemed that, you know, I don't know if he's going to be able to play in Dallas this upcoming weekend. I heard he's a pretty crucial part of your attack. He's not going to be able to play.
Mm-mm. No, it's a 6 to 8 week recovery on the quick side. Luckily nothing's broken. It's just like some strains and some ligaments and issues. But hopefully 8 weeks he should be back for Florida. If not, he'll definitely be back after Florida.
Yeah, with ankles it's tough, man. Well, he definitely was. I mean, you know, it always helps to have something to play for, and he definitely was watching every single move that you guys made with a critical eye, and was, you know, he was definitely a big supporter on the sideline. So I'm expecting he'll do the same thing. Ankles are tough, man. I remember Nicky Cuba hurt his ankle really bad, and the doctor kind of wished he broke it instead, because sometimes if you break your ankle, it's actually a quicker recovery than if it doesn't break, depending on obviously how bad you sprain it. But ankles can be tricky. But yeah, I mean, and let me ask you this question. Have you guys, I mean, I'm hoping you're not going to go with just 5 to Dallas, right? Do you have at least one more guy on the squad now, or suit up Ryan or Mark?
We might have, I think we have one more guy. We have one more guy who we picked up because one of our other guys might also not be able to play because of an injury. So we might be showing up with 6. We might be showing up with 7. I know the skeleton squad can do it. I'm not too worried if it comes down to it, but we'll figure it out.
I'm not saying the skeleton squad can't do it, because obviously you guys played awesome with 5. However, knowing how paintball tournaments go sometimes, bro, you never know what's going to happen, man. Like random stuff can happen where you lose that other guy. So even if you literally get the Buddhist rookie possible, you know, has no idea what he's doing, is better than playing with 4. Because, I mean, you guys play well, but you were not the Russian Legion at the height of their powers, when we used to joke that they should just start with 4 all the time, because every time they went down and they had to play 4 on 5, they seemed to win the point. So yeah, just definitely try to just get whoever you can, because either Mark the Elder, or I was joking with Ryan, I'm like, and it is cold as hell out there in Virginia that week, so he's got his gloves on, he's all bundled up and stuff, we're all bundled up, and I was like, hey man, you might have to gear up, and he's like, yeah dude, that's not happening, that ship has sailed long ago. I was like, well, yeah, no, I get it, but yeah, so okay, so possibly going with Skeleton Squad again come Dallas. So let's, before we jump into talking about the games, what's kind of the history of the Notorious squad? Because, I mean, Rich had worked with you guys a bit too. Obviously, it was great that you guys got Greenspan out there as well. This just goes to show you, everyone listening, if you have the ability to get a pro to come out and help you get your grind on and give you those important lessons, like there is a fast track to getting better at paintball, and it's utilizing the wisdom that was earned the hard way. So definitely a right move that you guys did that a little bit. So yeah, tell me a little bit about Notorious.
I've only been playing with them since after I was removed from Victoria. I played with them for my D5 season. And then I played with them. I actually didn't play with them too much last season. I guested with them for a couple events here and there for I think D4. Which it's like, what I noticed is every time I played with, Notorious, we'd win. So I was like, oh, hey, I like playing with these guys. Whereas I played with other teams and they just like, they didn't understand necessarily like some of like the fundamentals and stuff like some of the guys did. But like, you get 2 kills, you don't just run down the field. It's like, you gotta understand how to communicate it, play smart, hold a zone. If you kill 2 bodies on the side, hold it, don't let anybody fill, because it makes the game take longer, and then you're giving them the chance to kill you. So it's like, why would you do it? So it's like things to me that came simply, they like other teams didn't get, but FSU did. And it's like, when I started playing with like the main line, like the main guys and stuff, it all really came together. And I've played with a lot of those guys, like just practicing for the past 2 years. I played with Brandon for a long time, over the past couple of years, just practicing with them. Paul Hubert, I practiced with him for a long time. He's a really good friend. Ty Bateman, me and him just have like good chemistry off the rip, and he's like been friends with Paul for like 12 years. And I played with Ian Galvin for a bit as well over the past 2 years, and practice with him. So it's like we all have really good chemistry. We all trust each other. I think that's the big thing. It's like I trust every one of those guys out there. With other teams, it's like I would die off the rip, or I would value my body too much during points, because I felt like if I died, the point's over. But with FSU, I don't feel like that. With Notorious, it's like I die, it's like I trust every single one of those guys to pull out a point, because they're just monsters. It's like I love playing with those guys, and I think that's the big difference with them. But they've been a team for a long time, and I think that like they've always really tried to do a lot with the regional events and stuff, as far as like helping like introduce people to like D5 teams and D4 and D3, and try to like really build the paintball community out at Outlaw Paintball. So
yeah, Texas is so deep, man. I feel like every year I'm seeing a new good team and new good players come out of Texas. It just continues to impress me, and it does hurt my California soul to say it a little bit, but I have to keep saying it because I feel like it's the truth, is that Texas really has become the mecca of paintball. Florida, going down and watching MVPS down there and seeing some of the divisional teams in that area of the world too, is also running pretty strong. And the Florida guys who are probably listening to this will be like, they're like, we need to get a Florida Texas game going on. We want to be the mecca. We're the mecca of paintball, so, but it's just and also, so the event will go on, and I'm up there, we're doing all the pro games, and then come Sunday, we get the divisional finals. Now, this event we're going to in Dallas is going to be all divisionals, except, and semi-pro too, but, so I don't really know who's going to show up there. No one knows who's going to show up and be on the big stage come Sunday afternoon. And I'm always begging the people running the tournament, like, hey, can you please make sure you give me the information on the teams, like as early as you get it. So it's not, when they arrive, it's not like, yeah, well, team A over here is playing against team B and they all have different jerseys on and no one has their names on their jerseys. So I have no idea what's happening right now. this is really frustrating because I want to give you guys your shine. But it just, Texas is constantly having teams there on Sunday. Like for the past couple years, you know, and I'm a betting man, I would easily make a bet that a good portion of the teams that make it on to play in the divisional finals are going to be from Texas. So, you know, again, some teams from Florida there too, but it's just Florida and Texas real strong in the divisionals, and it's really cool to see because people are always asking me, like, well, what happens when, you know, Dynasty retires? What happens when these guys retire? I'm like, dude, the same thing that's been happening for 30 years. Next man up, next team up. And seeing how the divisional ranks have evolved and gotten so much better over the years, and how the level of play has just risen. It's really cool to see. So I'm really looking forward to see who's going to step up, you know, with the new way that the NXL is running things when we go to this and we get to focus just on these, you know, divisionals again, all the way up to semi-pro, at least here at the first event. So I'm expecting big things out of you guys, no pressure. But yeah, and I got a little bit of the history of Notorious, but yeah, just take me across the field though, and kind of before we jump into how you guys did again. But just take me across the field. You had mentioned some of these other guys, but you only ran with 5. Take me across the field and talk about the playing styles for your starting 5.
I guess I'll start D side corner to snake side corner. We had Paul Hubert was mostly playing the corner. And so something Paul, Ty, Marky, and me do at the beginning of most practices, we'll just do one-on-ones. So the fact that Paul ended up in a couple one-on-ones over the course of the weekend, we were always like, he's got it. We're like, thank goodness it's a one-on-one. He's just gonna, you know, have a ball. But he's a liver. Like he's just like, he gets so small in his bunker, and he's so good at containing and communicating and stuff. I love playing with like in front of him, behind him. Same with Ty. Ty was playing the Dorito 1 attacker or the 2. Like they would kind of like, you know, leapfrog off each other based on the situation. But I feel like we were playing more of like a containment. So it's like when I was playing D side with them, we'd go and we'd kind of like, you know, guide each other's guns to cross up and whatnot. And one of us was almost always protecting the snake, and the other one was just protecting the heads up. So that way we could deny them from getting into the snake while also, you know, potentially getting a kill there if they try to fill it. And then that's where Marky comes in as the 3s. He was doing a lot of that as well. It's just trying to deny the fill. So it's like that way, you know, if I make it to snake off break, they have to fill to match us to take out our snake presence. So it's like, it's just putting them in the position where they have to make bad moves. And then we had Ian playing the snake corner, and he was just like a little gunslinger, you know, just raining paint. And it was really cool to see. I think one of the things that we could have changed is maybe have him play in front of me a couple points. Because I think he's way faster than me. He's so much faster. Yeah, we all participated. We all had to give 110% out there, because it's like it definitely wasn't a one-man job. It definitely wasn't a 2 or 3 man job. It's like every single one of those guys like had to ball out in order for us to make what happened happen. And it was really cool to see.
It was really cool to see. I thought your D side was very strong, Ty and Paul, because they were the survivability for you guys across off the break shots were great. Your survivability for everybody was pretty great. Marky played a tough role in that center of that field, having to bounce into a bunch of different spots. I mean, look, you guys played a decent amount of paintball. Everyone had their own moments where, okay, they could have done this, they could have done that, but we'd be here for hours if we were, doing that sort of dissection. But across the board, the survivability was very high for you guys, and the moves were made at mostly the correct time. And then when you would get into those key spots, D side, snake side, and center, most of the time you guys weren't needlessly over battling and dying stupid. So, there was a lot of good things to take for the performance. And that's what I'm saying. If you just had, a little bit more depth and just more time and practice together, and then I would want you guys to run it back and play some really good teams again. I'm excited for your future though, because if this is where you guys are at now, if you stay together and get some more really good, practices in and stay focused and continue to try to improve, keep the ego, but shed it when you need to get the lessons to resonate. Again, if that's such a tough thing to do, but very necessary. I think you guys, who knows? It would not shock me if you guys were a pro team in a little bit. So let's kind of just talk through some of these games here before I let you go. So you guys you said you didn't warm. It's frustrating to hear you guys didn't warm up for the New York Extreme game because 1, it was really cold. 2, that was not the first set of the day. So I don't know if you guys went out raging the night before or what, but that is inexcusable. That's a rookie mistake. There's no reason you guys shouldn't have warmed up for that game because it was the second set. So you could have shown up there, watched the whole first set, did your warm up, had a couple snapshots on, wherever, and then, because that wasn't a bad game. I mean, they beat you by 3. And New York Extreme had more of their full line there. No Tim Stetzel for them. He's going to be out with a shoulder injury for a while, but it wasn't a terrible look. Talk to me a little bit about that New York Extreme game.
Really the warming up thing I think was like the most crucial. And I was like thinking to myself too, I was like, man, I should really do a couple of laps. And I was like, that sounds like it was cold. I was like, I don't want to do that. I want to pot paint. I'd rather be potting paint than prepping guns right now than warming up. And that was just like a child mindset, just like not the right answer. But that's why we corrected that the second day. We were like, we need to be athletes. That's what we're here to be. That's we came to show up. Let's show up. But yeah, it was really inexcusable. Not warming up, not stretching or anything. But it was a good match. It was a really good match. It was fun. There's some funny guys. And then Taylor, he's so down to earth. That guy, he came up to me a couple of times when I was playing the D side. He's like, did I hit you doing this? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, man, you were so small. And I was like, oh, thanks. I appreciate it. But he was like super cool, very, very nice guy. And I like him a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, Taylor's great, man. I'm a huge fan of Taylor. He's getting good too. He's one of those guys that for everyone I've seen play paintball recently, he keeps improving. And I think he could have a big year for New York Extreme this year. But yeah, no, I get it, dude. It's lucky you guys are young because, with 5 guys, that's how someone else gets hurt. If it's really cold out there and no one warms up, if I had to play that morning, I would have been sweating by the time we played because I'm old. So if I wasn't like completely warmed up, like I'm gonna pull a hammy, I'm gonna run out to the first bunker for sure. So you guys lost that game, and then you your next game was against Revo. So and then it was a big shocker. They had a comeback that they attempted against you guys. I think it was 1 minute and 48 seconds left. They were down by 3. They scored 2 quick ones in about 42-ish seconds, and then they almost put that third and tying point up against you guys. They needed about 2 more seconds, but they had finally woken up. They started attacking that snake side a little bit more. But you guys, and then I actually asked them, it wasn't a giant mystery as to why they lost and why you guys beat them, so much so that afterwards, like when I talked to Henry Sense, I'm like, you guys know why you lost that game, right? He's like, yeah, our snake side played like shit. And I was like, yeah, okay, that's pretty much. I was like, but I got to ask, were you planning on trying to make it harder on yourselves playing the up-and-coming squad by not attacking the snake side? He's like, that was not the plan. We couldn't get any offensive punch out of those guys over there, and they know it. We know it. Everyone knows it. Obviously Notorious knows it. It's not a mystery. I'm like, okay, thank God, because it was blatantly obvious. So were you feeling that during that game as you guys are starting to put up point after point against them? Like, where is their offense on the snake side?
Watching them play the other teams and watching them go down the snake on other teams, I was just like, I should have gotten stuck so many times. I was like, my back is so thankful that they did not play the snake the way that they played it against other teams. But I have mixed feelings about the Revo game. For one, there was a point where they were walking to the buzzer, I think for their second point, to put their second point on the board. And just like them walking to the buzzer, they knew that we were all dead. They were like 4 points down. And it's like those 2 seconds, man, they could have, you could have easily tied that game if you would have just jogged to the buzzer instead of walking to it, And it's little stuff like that, or, I don't know. I feel like they had to play their absolute best against every other team afterward, because it was one thing to lose to us and have New York Extreme give them so much flack, but to lose the event to us, even though it's a glorified practice in everybody else's eyes, but that's not what it came across to us. It was pro invitational tournament. There's refs in the field. There's a trophy at the end. There's placements. I looked at it as a tournament. I played it like a tournament. That's practice how you play. outside of the stretching. So I mean, they really had to put it on other teams to not. If they would have lost even one game, we would have taken first. So that's kind of crazy to think.
Yeah, you guys were incredibly close because then it set it up after that. Yeah, so we're getting there, but yeah, so then you guys beat Revo, you beat them by 1, but you beat them head up, and that's the first tiebreaker. Now, at the time, we didn't think that what was going to happen in the sense that you guys would make it really close to potentially win the tournament. But then, because you have the Outlaws next, and so you go and you play that game and you take it to overtime and end up getting the win there. Talk to me about that Outlaw match.
That was a long match. I think that one went to like 5-5 or 6-5 or something like that. That was a very, very long match, especially being only 5 guys and just trying to get people to like come to the pit. Like as soon as you're dead, come on. Like we need to wipe you down. Like like that was probably the hardest part is like the pitting and just trying to make sure we kept everything clean. But yeah, no, that was a good match. But after playing the Revo game, it was like we kind of had the mindset that there's nothing we can't do. We're like once we beat them, it was like whether they attacked the snake or not, or if our guns were just like denying them from attacking the snake, whatever the case may be. Once we won that game, like I think our mentality was like, hey, we're gonna win this. We're gonna take everything. So I think the big thing everybody kept saying was we need to show everybody it's not a fluke. Like we deserve to be here.
Well, so then you have, again, 1-point match against Revo. They made it close at the end. Overtime game against the Outlaws. So then you got 2 wins and a loss, and you head into Sunday. And, when I talked to Ryan Gray afterwards, and, Brandon had been sitting up there the whole day. So talked to Brandon, and everyone's kind of talking about, oh, man, Notorious looks pretty good. Now, who knows? Maybe, maybe they won't look as good tomorrow. They're only running with 5 guys. Are they going to get tired? And then you guys play against the other not pro team, Carolina Crisis, semi-pro squad, who's pretty good, man. Like Crisis did not have a terrible weekend, punching up above their weight class. And that was another overtime game. Not as many points scored in that one, some slower points in that game. What were your thoughts going on during that game? And again, another overtime one, so making it super dramatic.
I realized that I needed to stop fighting that guy on the inside. That one dude just, I don't even know who it was, but I fought him twice on the inside, and both times he just messed my world up. And I was just like, all right, cool. I was like, I made bad decisions. The point he went to the brick, I was stuck in the snake 1 knuckle, and their snake side can was shooting the gap, so I couldn't go in. I couldn't make the gap into the snake 2. And then that guy got to the brick, and I was just like, there's no way he's gonna fight me when I'm putting paint like at him, trying to keep him pushed towards the D side. And I was trying to communicate somebody to go stab him, and then he just snapped out on me. And I was like, first snap, I think he hit me in the face. I was like, all right, cool. That's it for my that's it for my run here. I gotta go get cleaned up. Gotta wipe my mask down and get my stuff figured out. And then the next point, the same thing happened to me. I think he made it to the Dorito. He made it to the Dorito 50 and shot through like this super small gap at the God bunker. And I was just like, I got hit, and I was just like, what the fuck? I was like, I'm not playing the inside anymore. not against Crisis. So.
Yeah, again, super close game, but you guys take the win in overtime. Was that the game that went to one-on-ones? That was the game. Was that the game that went to one-on-ones? Mm-hmm. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, so that was, and so it went
I wanted that one-on-one so
you guys
bad.
played it. Yeah, then you guys played a super slow overtime point, and as it's going down, I'm thinking, man, we might see some one-on-ones, and one-on-ones are super fun to watch because obviously, you fight through the whole regulation time, can't get a winner, fight through 5 minutes overtime. Very rarely do we get to the one-on-ones because typically we're going to find a winner in that 5-minute period. So it goes to the one-on-ones. First one-on-one didn't work out. So what was going on in your mind during the one-on-one situation?
Ty was the first one to do the one-on-one, and then Marky. And I was just like, when we were deciding who was going to go out to the one-on-ones, everybody decided Ty. And I was just like, man, each time I was like, I was like, I want all of us to get a chance going one-on-ones. Like I just want us to each like tie our one-on-ones, so we all got a chance to do one-on-ones. Because I mean, like I know me, Ty, Paul, and Marky all like practice one-on-ones all the time. We just enjoy it. So it was just cool. We were just like, well, we got 4 people who literally just do one-on-ones to start every practice for like 30 minutes. So it's like I felt pretty confident that, you know, we would win or tie each of them. And so it was like it was nice.
So you guys ended up taking that win. Now at the same time, Revo. So now the story is, because you guys beat Revo, if you win all the games that day, it doesn't matter if Revo wins all their games, and it doesn't matter how much they, put the beat stick down on everyone that they play, which is pretty much what they did. They beat up everyone. They just beat them like the little, like took them out behind the woodshed and beat them up in the woods, because it was pretty much a mercy rule win. But point spread didn't matter, because the very first tiebreaker is going to be head to head. They knew that. Everyone knew it. And so they, pretty much beat up on New York Extreme, and then you guys barely win against Crisis. So now you guys have both won. And then, so did you kind of think like, hey, we got a chance to win this one here? I mean, obviously you probably thought that after you beat Revo, but is that what you guys were talking about? Was that like actually said?
Yeah, we were all talking about winning it. We 100% were talking about winning it. We were like, we don't aim for fourth. We aim for first. Like every event, that's our big thing, is like, why hold yourself back? We're here to ball. We might as well, play the best we can. I don't like playing for, anything less. I like winning. Winning's a lot of fun. Like losing, you can learn a lot, but winning's really nice. So we were just like, hey, we're gonna get this trophy. We're gonna win 5 out of 6 games. And I think that'd be a great first look. It didn't shake out that way. Sucks, but it happens. It happens to the best. So it was just like,
well, they made it again. Talk about drama, because it was very dramatic for you guys all weekend long. Then you guys go and you play Energy Elite and another overtime match, and it was a very controversial finish, because it did. And so as it's happening, we're like, oh my God, they're going to win again. And then it looked like that that Energy Elite was going to win. And then Caleb Abel, who played outstanding. Caleb Abel on the snake side is nasty for Energy Elite. I'm looking forward to him playing this year. But yeah, but then they, he hits the buzzer, but I guess he's got an old hit. I still don't know. No one knows exactly what happened, but it looked like he got the point. They took it away from him. Went back and forth on the decision a couple times. Everyone, you guys are probably sitting there biting your nails. Revo's doing the same thing. And it was kind of crazy, but they ended up giving you guys the win. And then, so now it was like, okay, now you guys got to go play your last game against the ML Kings. And if you beat the ML Kings, who has a cool new squad, and there's a story there. So, kind of paint me the picture of what's going on in your head as that decision's coming down, then it ends up going your way after it not going your way. And now if you win this last game, tournament's yours.
That NRG game was kind of weird, because it's like, I've watched all the games back multiple times, just like breaking everything down and whatnot. And if you really watch that NRG game, it kind of shouldn't have even gone to overtime. There was a lot, like, just like mistakes that we made, but also like right when Marky goes to hit the buzzer, right, the point before the overtime point, it's like 42 or 52 seconds left when they were having the whole argument about how much time should be left on the clock. But when he goes up to the buzzer, it's like 52 or 42 on the clock, and then it says base. But at that point, that was when they were trying to towel. So the next point we go in, when they started it with 36 seconds, but it should have been like 42 or 52, whatever. We're like a second and a half from hitting the buzzer, so it wouldn't have even gone to overtime if we would have gotten the time that they wanted. So and when they were trying to towel, so that's kind of a nice feeling. Like it was a close game, but we also, if we're a lesser team, you shouldn't be in that position for it to be that close. And my thing with the whole pod pack hit, it's like, we're going with 5 guys. We're getting all of our hips wiped off. We don't have that much help in the pits. We have, I think we had, just Mark Fran Sr. and then Ian's dad. So it's like, we only had each other pretty much to make sure that we had all of our hits wiped off, all of our guns gassed up, all of our pods refilled, make sure that, everything's, good. And then get back on the field in X-ball format, so it's like for us to do that, but they have multiple guys and they can't get a hit off their pack. I'm sorry, but the rules are if you have a hit, you're out. So like, I know they tried to argue it really, really hard, but I was just like, we're a divisional team and we're here to win. So, we put in the effort. We wanted to be here. We practiced all off season through storm and everything. And so we came hungry in that MLK Kings game, won those first 3 points. And then it just faltered from there.
Yeah, Brandon had said that you guys had even showed up during that crazy cold snap in Texas where people were like, chainsawing their fences off and lighting them on fire to keep their kids warm. You guys still went to the field and played that week. So, props to you guys for the heart and the tenacity to put the work in needed to not suck. So that was impressive to hear. Yeah, it was crazy. But yeah, then you guys go play the ML Kings, another overtime match. So, I mean, you guys are just, again, making it as dramatic as it possibly could be. And all the Revo guys were, watching that at the same time, that it was going down. But, unfortunately, that one did not go your way. So kind of just, talk me through the last bit of that game and what was going on in your mind.
I feel like the first 2 points we played really, really well. And then the third point, I think, was our best point pretty much the whole weekend. Like, it was the most controlled. I think we finished 5 alive, great communication. And then the fourth point, I have a false start. I should have just stopped at the money. I know I die off break, which is definitely my fault on that one. And then I don't remember exactly what happened from the other guys that point, but I know the mistakes that I made. And then the next point, I think I did something stupid, died on the inside, just playing a little sloppy. And then it's just like a momentum switch, they were hungry for it. They wanted it, and it happens. But I know I personally was tired by that last game. I wasn't tired until that last game. That last game was probably like, I was feeling it in my legs. I was like, I don't know if I want to run snake anymore.
That was going to be the question I was going to.
They're a good group of guys.
Yeah. ML Kings, with the new guys they picked up, I do believe that they could have a better showing in 2021 than they've had before. I like the talent they have on that. A lot of these up-and-coming squads have really been working hard to try to put a better, more talented, harder working lineup out to contend with these top teams. It's obviously incredibly difficult. We've never really seen paintball at its high end be this competitive, I think, ever. And I'll argue that with anybody. But and especially, and I think the future is bright for the sport when we got teams like Notorious showing up and having the look that you guys did. But that was the other question I was going to ask you was like, okay, legit, dude, how tired were you guys? Because all these overtime points, you're only running with 5 guys. It's freezing cold out there. I mean, at a certain point, regardless of how good a shape you're in, you are going to be kind of questioning once you get that deep that many times. Like you said, dude, I don't know if I can make snake again, man. Maybe I should hold up,
I was like, I told Ryan a couple times toward the end, I was like, because the way we were starting, me and Ian were trying not to telegraph where we were going. So we would just line up the same way the entire second day. We'd just line up the same way at every point. And so even when I'd go snake off break, I would start in the same stance. And like when I would launch, like I was kind of like slowly pulling my groin. And so like that whole last day, like I was just pulling my groin. And like, I remember walking through the airport, I was pushing Brandon in a wheelchair. And I was just like, I'm so glad to be pushing you in the wheelchair because it's the only thing keeping me walking right now. Like my legs hurt so bad. But I think I don't know how tired the other guys were, but I'll definitely admit, like I was pretty zonked. I don't think that kept me from playing any better. I think that I just made poor decisions in certain moments, which I know cost a couple points. Just letting down my zones. Not I remember what happened the other point. The third point we played, I went up to the can and I was supposed to be shooting D side, but instead I was like, oh, we got to kill one off the snake. I'm just gonna keep shooting snake side. And so then they just run down the D side and kill like 3 of us because I didn't do my job. And I was like, oh well. So it happens when you don't listen to coach and you don't abide by the plan. So I was just like, yeah, that's my fault. Marky was doing the job and I tried to do the job too, and I should have done my job. So.
Well, still super dramatic. Great look for you guys. Again, so many overtime points. And of course, anytime you lose close games like that, those are harder losses than when you get murdered, because you can really isolate a few. Everyone can. A few things here or there that could have just been slightly different. A lane looked at that you didn't look at, or one kill here or there that could have been the difference. So you guys definitely have some work to do, but still, man, I mean, it was kind of the talk of the town that weekend was how good you guys did look, and obviously beating Revo was huge. So yeah, now I expect big things out of you guys. Again, no pressure, but yeah, I really do truly feel that if you can keep your work ethic and play and continue to refine the way you guys play the game, it could be interesting to see what type of run you guys could have the next couple of years. So last question before I let you go. Obviously heading to Dallas, local kind of event for you guys, is seeing it's, in the great state of Texas. What do you expect out of the team this weekend?
Only great things. We had a great practice this weekend. Just ironing some stuff out, trying out some new guys, because we need a good 7. But it's about having. I feel like it's about having the right 7, because it's like we know we have the right 5. It's like now we got to find those missing pieces. But no, we're not going to get any easy games from anybody here on out. That's the big thing. Even in practice, it's like we're always going to get people's best games. They're always going to. Everybody wants to beat us with good reason, and that's kind of nice, because it's like we want people's best games. We don't want people to sleep on us. We want to play the most competitive that we can, and I think that's what we're looking forward to this weekend. Is we're just trying to play our best version of paintball against whatever their 5 throws at us. So,
well, like I said, I mean, the weekend could have went a little better for you, because you could have won it, but that would have been crazy, considering that with the injury to Brandon and how everything went down. Man, big things could be in store. I don't want to be carrying your goggles around a little bit and be like, "Oh, Keegan, I got your goggles right here for you." But so I don't want to blow your heads up too much, because there is still work to do. But that being said, I am expecting big things out of you guys here this weekend. So anyone you want to thank before we sign off?
I'd like to thank Outlaw Paintball. Tom there does a really good job. He's just got the front field set up for us. Nice new turf. Never played on. First time playing on it was this weekend, so that was really nice. Plus it's like 10 minutes from my house. It's super nice to go out there, and he's always willing to open the field at any time. I have to thank my wife. She's super supportive. She's the only reason I'm even doing this is because she pushed me into it. She's like, "Hey, you're good at it. You should do it." So I'm like, "All right, fine. I guess I'll play paintball." Super lame. But I'd like to, Mark Franz, give me the opportunity to play with Notorious, and the opportunities he's given me, like when I first started, like in D5 and stuff. I really appreciate that, and I appreciate all the guys on my team. We really stick together. We're a family. I think that's one of the things that, and I'd love to thank Coach Ryan Gray, because he's 100% the reason we were able to perform this past weekend. But yeah, I'd like to thank those guys, because like Ryan Gray said, we don't have the issues that a lot of teams have. We aren't fighting each other after points. We aren't, even points that we lose, it's like we're not fighting each other, which is like, hey, what went wrong? What do you need? How can I help? How can we address it? How can we fix whatever happened? So we're definitely a team that doesn't have like those ego tendencies to like flip out on each other. We're just trying to build each other up, and just we're good friends. So.
Well, you guys are some rising stars, my friend, so don't let off that gas pedal, and it's going to be fun to watch you guys this year. So best of luck this upcoming weekend. Again, mark your calendars, March 19th through the 21st. Things are going down this weekend. I can't wait to get started on this season, and it was definitely a pleasure to watch you guys play some paintball. So best of luck this upcoming weekend. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I'll see you guys this weekend.
All right. Thanks, Matty.
The first National X-Ball League divisional event of 2021 is just on the horizon. Don't miss the NXL Lone Star Amateur Open, going down Friday, March 19th to Sunday, March 21st at Giant Party Sports Paintball and Airsoft Park, just north of Dallas, Texas. The gunfights will rage across 2 different formats, 5-man and X-Ball, with 3 different levels of competition in each format. Make sure to register your team by Wednesday, March 10th, which is the final day to get your squad signed up for the battle. Also, tune in to watch all the action going down on center court, only on GoSports.com.